We start with a question from Aubrey Chikosi. Aubrey's asked about a cartoon. This is the cartoon that he sent. So if you just have a look at it. Do you want another quick look? All right, so you're told that his name is Calvin. It's a Calvin and Hobbes cartoon, and we've got the questions. So, as usual, we're told to refer to a frame. Look for your keywords. Look for your question words. So we're giving. That is our question word. What am I giving? A visual clue. What about that he's worried? So this really shouldn't be difficult. Remember, don't say his face shows that he's worried. You don't get any marks for something that's vague. You must say he looks as if he's frowning because his eyebrow, his forehead has got these marks. Then you can look at the eyes. You can say his eyes are enormous. Then you can look at the mouth. It is jagged and turned down. You can say that he is staring in disbelief at the question. We need a visual clue, and it's only one. So please use full sentences. I seem to have been fighting all day today, mainly with grade 10s, to answer in full sentences. If you have number one and you write, let's say you've got a blue pen and you write face. What am I meant to do with that as the marker? I don't want to give that any marks, but if you say he has lines on his face, especially on his forehead, that show that he's really anxious, I can see what I'm giving the marks to. All right, so the next question again, look at your mark allocation. Question word, why? Keyword, worried. So now we need Tabile because we have to explain Newton's first law of motion. But she's gone off and left us. So why is he worried? Because clearly he's like so many students who do not learn their work before they turn up in the test or the exam. Even if he said he studied, he can't remember it. So what good is the studying if he doesn't know the answer? So why is he worried? Because he cannot explain Newton's first law of motion. Fine, easy peasy. Right, 4.1.3, question word, choose. What am I choosing? The correct form of the word in brackets to complete the following sentence. Calvin is asked to give an, and I think we had this very recently. It just seems so familiar. So, he's asked to give an. If you have a or an or the in front of a word, then it is extremely likely that that word is a noun. So they want the noun form of explain, which is the verb. An. Do we say an explanatory, explaining, explained, or explanation? He's asked to give an explanation. So notice that you can get language questions embedded in your visual literacy. Usually not for home language, where the questions are separate, but certainly for FAL. So look out for the grammar questions, the language questions in the visual literacy, in the cartoon or the advert. Right, then we are asked, give a reason for the use of the exclamation mark in frame 2. So once again, we need to go up. Right. Now this is something you should know simply from reading cartoons. What does that mean? What does that symbol tell the reader? Sometimes you get it like that. I was saying to Mbali that my drawing's not great, but I hope that that looks like a light bulb. So the exclamation or the light bulb, what does it tell you? It tells you idea. And you're meant to know this. Why? Simply from reading cartoons and being aware of the very common symbols used by cartoonists. So that one is fine. Right, so why isn't he going to get any marks? Again, we're looking at the question word. Why is he unlikely to obtain any marks for his answer in frame 3? Because his answer is, in English, we call that gobbledygook. If we wanted a simpler thing, it is nonsense. It is meaningless. It has no meaning. So no, he's not going to get any marks. Right, then frame 4. Question word, describe. Keyword, body language. What is the be careful? What is the don't do? Don't say something very vague. Be specific. So we've got for 2 marks. So let's do some work on that. We are describing the body language. Then we have to explain what the body language suggests about how he feels. We need to give a feeling word. And especially if you're home language, what must you avoid? Happy, sad, and angry, because the examiners say you rely on that too much. So we have to describe. Oh, and then don't forget as well, always look at the right frame. Please be careful of this. I can't tell you how often students look at the wrong frame. Or I'm complaining about the grade 10s. You say, look at lines 4 to 5 in the poem. So they look at 5 and 6. Look at the right lines. Go back to the right paragraph. Go back to the right frame. It's amazing how many marks you can lose simply by being sloppy over that kind of thing. Okay, frame 4, describe the body language. What does the body language suggest about how he's feeling? Right, we're on to frame 4. Let's look at the body language. Describe it. We would say something like, he leans back. He has his arms behind his head. His hands are behind his head. And his head is up. I'm especially looking at the head in frame 1 and then very eagerly in frame 3. But the head was bent down and looked horrified. Now the head is up, the chin is up. Would I look at the facial expression? I don't think so. The question just say body language. So I'd leave the face out here. Now, how is he feeling? The trouble is, I think the reason that I get asked to do this particular cartoon from this particular past paper so often is because students don't understand the meaning of a loophole. A loophole is a space that is left where the person can escape. So obviously Calvin isn't escaping. Look at this, he's still at the desk, he's still writing in the classroom, it's still a test or an exam. But he feels that he has escaped the problem. Now, what was the problem? The problem was explaining Newton's first law of motion, which he couldn't do. But the teacher said, in your own words. Use your own words to show that you understand. So I don't want you to learn something off by heart. You don't understand it, and you simply write it down. That is not useful to me as your teacher. So I want your own words so that you can show your understanding. But what has Calvin done? He really has used his own words. This is his own language. Nobody else knows it. So he says the loophole is, what do we mean by your own words? The teacher meant one thing, but Calvin feels that he has escaped the problem by finding another way of using his own words. So how is he feeling? Look at this body language. It is triumphant. To triumph is to succeed. It is complacent. To be pleased with yourself, satisfied with yourself. That's how he's feeling. Right, then, has the cartoonist created humor successfully? I've said this before. You cannot say, no, because I didn't find it funny, or no, because I didn't understand the cartoon, or no, because the cartoon just didn't make any sense to me. I don't know what's going on. It's for 2 marks. This kind of question for home language is usually for 3. So I've said to you before, humor so often depends on one particular technique. Do we remember what it is? The gentlemen here are nodding, but they're not saying anything. It's silence. And I'm worried that there's silence at home as well. The technique is irony. So that is the most common technique. So start with irony, just in case it is ironic. So what is irony? Irony is when a person believes one thing, but something else is the truth. Of course there's irony. All right, there is Calvin. He believes he has been unbelievably clever. He believes that he has outwitted his teacher. Your wits are your brains. If I say to you, keep your wits about you, I mean, look sharp, okay? Right. He's outwitted. His brains are better than his teacher's brains. So it's, yeah, 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 got it. I am, this is what he's thinking. So the irony is this is what Calvin believes about himself. But the reality is he is going to get naught for that question. So the humor is successful, but it's a gentle humor. All right, people, it's not a cruel humor against Calvin. It is a gentle mockery of Calvin. He is just a little child. And because he is little, we laugh, but we laugh at him kindly. So the humor's there at how a little child can so fool himself that he has made his teacher look stupid and got himself the marks. But in fact, he is going to look stupid.